Here's meteorologist Pete Mangione with your live Pinpoint Doppler 12 Futurecast.
Well, I've nudged up the snow numbers just a little bit compared to what we had last night. One of the reasons we'll see significant accumulations is that the air is very cold. The snow will be quite fluffy, so when you have the fluffy snow, you don't need quite as much moisture to produce those heavier totals. The good news is when you have the fluffy snow, it is much easier to shovel. So let's say we get 6, 7, 8 inches. That 6, 7, 8 inches is much easier to deal with than a wet snow of that same amount. So we'll look at the positives in this situation, but obviously when we have the fluffy snow, Julianne points out, not as good for making snowballs. So there is a drawback. Also, the fluffy snow tends to blow around a bit easier. So even when the snow is over with tonight, there still could be some lingering blowing and drifting snow. Speaking of snow, right now live Pinpoint Doppler 12, not showing much across our viewing area, but notice as we widen out the view, here it comes, that snow shield here represented by the blue. I wouldn't be surprised though to see a few ocean effect snow bands out here across Cape Cod, but the bulk of us will not see the snow starting until after around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. In fact, this is 10 a.m. Notice what happens between 10 a.m. and noon. The snow starts to overspread the region. So before noon, things are okay. I mean, you will have to deal with some snow, but it doesn't get really heavy until after lunchtime and becoming heavy at times 3, 4 p.m. with these darker blue bands representing some of that heavier snow. We take you into the 7 to 8 p.m. hour, still some heavier bands of snow, especially from Taunton, New Bedford and points east. We may start to taper off west here out towards the western part of South County. For instance, Hope Valley, westerly, you start to taper off, and then everyone starts to taper off after around 10 a.m. into the midnight hour. Notice how we actually push this out to the east. By midnight to 1 a.m. we turn the snow off. However, the wind still may be blowing some of that snow around. Temperatures right now certainly cold enough to support snow, no doubt about that. 19 your temperature in Smithfield, 22 Providence, 23 Newport, 23 New Bedford, 22 right now in Westerly, and 25 on Block Island. We look at the hurricane barrier, not a lot going on, no snow falling just yet. Kind of scenic as we get ready here to start the snow. So on the satellite picture, you're looking at this thing and you're thinking, uh-oh, we have the pink, we have the green representing some rain and freezing rain. But with this particular storm, we do not have to worry about that. That's because the center of the storm stays far enough to the south where we stay in the cold, snowy side of the storm. So this storm will be all snow, no rain, no sleet, nothing like that. Now you may get a little bit of that out towards the outer Cape, but for our viewing area, we're going to stay all white. Speaking of the snow, 7 to 11 inches expected. Again, this is nudged up a little bit compared to what we had last night. 11 to 16, say from about Newport, Little Compton, out towards the Cape Cod Canal. So this is our heaviest bullseye that we're expecting for the snow, and then 4 to 7 here out towards the central part of Connecticut. So you can see the amounts do go down quite a bit once you move out to the west of, say, eastern Connecticut and central Connecticut. And remember to stay tuned. This storm has been very tricky. You've noticed our amounts moving around a bit. They may move around more, so we'll keep you updated online through our blogs. We'll be posting a few videos on social media to update you if these snow numbers should happen to change. Now, it's going to be windy this afternoon. I don't see huge impacts from the winds. In fact, as we get into the later part of the afternoon, notice sustained winds between about 10 and 15 with some gusts of 30 possible, especially later on in the evening after around 9 or 10. Here's the windiest spot with winds around 29, 30 miles an hour, but gusts potentially up to around 50 out across Cape Cod. So it's right in here out towards Hyannis, maybe into Plymouth, where power outages are possible. I do not see widespread power outages for our viewing area simply because the snow is light and fluffy, less likely to really weigh down those branches and limbs. So we'll monitor the wind situation, but I think the highest impacts from the heavy snow, moderate impacts from the winds, and it's more going to be an issue, I think, with the visibility. If you're out trying to drive in the stuff, you will notice that snow going sideways on you with whiteout conditions at times. And in the 7-day Futurecast, it gets cold once this moves through. Now notice our high is only 22 tomorrow morning. How about a low of 8 on Monday morning, only 23 for a high temperature on Monday afternoon. We do bring in some rain and milder temperatures by the middle of the week. But obviously, Juliana, a lot to go over as we crank through the forecast this morning.
Absolutely. And you said, the snow will be lighter and fluffier, which is easier to shovel. So hopefully we can avoid some ice in the driveways.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Pete. And just a reminder for you all, a number of towns, including Coventry,